On April 17, 2025, Newcastle United faces off against Crystal Palace in what promises to be a game filled with excitement, drama, and high stakes. This isn't just another Premier League clash. No, this one is different. Newcastle United, a team that's slowly but surely cementing their place in the upper echelons of English football, is on the verge of something massive, a Champions League spot. They fought hard to get here, but the real test is how they handle the pressure when everything is on the line. And on the other side, we have Crystal Palace, a team that lives in the heart of the Premier League survival race. They may not have the same star power as Newcastle, but don't let that fool you. Palace fights tooth and nail for every point. And in a game like this, they have everything to gain and nothing to lose. So, what's really at stake here? What can we expect from each team? How do they stack up against each other, tactically, mentally, and physically? Let's break it all down, because this match, my friends, could be a turning point in both teams' seasons. Newcastle United, the team with a mission. First up, let's talk about Newcastle United. You've seen their rise, right? From a mid-table side to now sitting comfortably in fourth place, Newcastle has proved they're not just another team in the Premier League. They've built a culture of winning under Eddie Howe, and they're hungry for more. What's been impressive about them this season isn't just their attacking depth, it's how they've managed to balance ambition with composure. Let's talk tactics for a second. Eddie Howe has turned Newcastle into a high-pressing, attacking force. Their strategy is simple. Win the ball back quickly and exploit the opposition with quick transitions. And they've got the perfect players for it. Alexander Isak, with his movement and lethal finishing, is always a threat up top. Harvey Barnes on the wing has the pace to stretch any defense, and in midfield, you've got Bruno Guimarães, a player who can dictate the tempo of the game like few others in the Premier League. So, what's the secret behind their success? It's their ability to keep the pressure on. Newcastle doesn't just sit back. They're relentless. They're in your face. The idea is to suffocate their opponents, dominate possession, and make the most of every mistake. They don't just play football, they control it. But here's the thing. That high-pressing game? It can be a double-edged sword. Sure, it creates opportunities, but it also leaves gaps. If you're committing men forward and pressing aggressively, what happens when you lose the ball? That's where things could get interesting. If Crystal Palace can absorb that pressure and hit them on the counter, Newcastle could find themselves in a tricky spot. So even though Newcastle has the edge, they'll need to stay disciplined. If they let their foot off the gas, Palace could capitalize. Crystal Palace, the underdogs with a bite. Now, let's shift gears and look at Crystal Palace. You might think they're just trying to survive, and in a way, you'd be right. But that doesn't mean Palace is a team to overlook. Sure, they're sitting 12th in the table, but that's just part of their journey. Crystal Palace has made a living out of proving people wrong. Every season, they're written off, and yet every season, they manage to pull off surprising results, especially against the top clubs. Under the guidance of Oliver Glasner, Palace has found its identity. A team that absorbs pressure, defends resolutely, and strikes quickly on the break. They're not going to dominate possession like Newcastle. They're not going to press high and look to control every inch of the field. No, Palace plays it smart. They wait for their moment. And the key to Palace's success? The counter-attack. Eberechi Eze, with his dribbling skills and vision, can make things happen in a flash. Michael Allies, another creative force, has the ability to unlock defenses with his precision passing. If Newcastle gets too carried away with their pressing game, Palace will be ready to pounce. But it's not just about the counter-attacks. Crystal Palace also has the physicality to compete in the air. Joachim Andersen is a solid presence in defense, and his aerial dominance makes Palace a threat on set pieces. If Palace can keep Newcastle from exploiting their defense, they might just have a shot at taking something from this game. Key players to watch. Alright, let's talk about the players who could make or break this match. Newcastle United. Bruno Guimarães. Let's kick one thing straight. Bruno Guimarães is Newcastle's engine. If he's on top of his game, Newcastle flows like a well-oiled machine. His vision, his creativity, and his ability to pick out passes make him the player to watch. If Guimarães controls the midfield, Newcastle will control the game. Alexander Isak, the man who can turn a match with a single moment of brilliance. Isak is one of those players who can make things happen even when the rest of the team isn't firing on all cylinders. He's clinical in front of goal, and Palace will have to keep a close eye on him. Harvey Barnes. His pace and ability to stretch defenses are key to Newcastle's attacking strategy. Barnes could very well be the difference maker, particularly on the counter, where he can exploit spaces left open by Palace's defense. Crystal Palace. Eberechi Eze. Eze is the creative spark that Palace needs. His ability to glide past defenders, pick out passes, and create opportunities out of nowhere makes him dangerous. If Newcastle gives him space, he'll punish them. Michael Allies, a young talent with a big future ahead. Allies has the ability to unlock defenses with his vision and passing. He's the kind of player who can make the difference with one perfect ball. Joachim Andersen, the leader at the back. Andersen's role in this game is crucial. Not only does he need to keep Isak and Barnes under control, but his ability to distribute the ball from the back will be key in starting Palace's counterattacks. The tactical battle, pressing versus counterattacking. Here's where things get interesting. On one hand, we have Newcastle and their high pressing game. They want to dominate the ball, suffocate their opponents, and turn mistakes into goals. They'll be the ones pressing forward, trying to dictate the flow of the game. But Crystal Palace won't make it easy. They'll sit deep, absorb the pressure, and look for that moment when they can strike. They won't be afraid to sit back and invite Newcastle to attack. In fact, that's exactly what they want. They're comfortable absorbing pressure, and when they win the ball back, they have the pace and creativity to hurt Newcastle on the break. Prediction. Who will come out on top? Now, let's talk predictions. I've been thinking about this match for a while, and here's what I see happening. Newcastle United has the quality, the depth, and the tactical nous to win this game. But they can't afford to get too carried away with their high press. Crystal Palace will make them pay if they leave gaps. The key for Newcastle is to stay disciplined, control possession, and take their chances when they come. That said, Crystal Palace isn't a team to just roll over. They'll fight tooth and nail to keep themselves in the game, and with players like Eze and Allies on the counter, they'll always have a chance to score. My prediction? Newcastle United 2-1 Crystal Palace. Newcastle will get the win, but it won't be easy. Palace will make them work for it, and we'll see a real fight on the pitch. The game beyond the game. This match is more than just about points. It's about proving a point. Newcastle United is fighting for a future in European football, while Crystal Palace is battling for survival in the Premier League. They both have something to fight for, and this game will show us who's willing to fight harder. So as you tune in on April 17, 2025, remember this. It's not just a match between two teams. It's a battle of philosophies, a clash of resilience, and a reflection of the struggle we all face in our own lives. Who will rise? And who will fall?